There we go. So a couple of things before I talk about publishing Mobirise. I want to make sure that everybody understands how to do that. It's, I won't say no different than publishing your lesson 7, but there are a couple of things that you might want to consider to make it a little bit different. So, and there were some other people that wanted to know how to, if they added additional pages to their Mobirise website, how to create links to those pages. So I can cover that as well. So I don't know if we're going to cover the full hour today, but we'll see where we go. So again, before we talk about Mobirise, finishing up lesson 9, remember the last step in lesson 9 was to make sure that it was compatible for media queries for a very small screen. And you can see that I was able to correct everything with the exception of a couple of things. And I corrected them all, but I wanted to show you at the very end. Notice that over here to the left under class schedule, that the class, the description, the location, the day, the cost, how they're placed over here. You'll notice that location is missing. Well, I purposely left that undone. That I made a very simple mistake when I was adding the code for that. So let me go back here. Let's go back up. There we go. So I'm going to switch over here from files to CSS Designer. And where that was found is that if we go all the way, make sure that I have first green style selected, make sure that I have the media query selected. And it was in the sections down here where I added TD, and you'll see it right here, TD.length : and I put a space and then before. By adding that space, it goofed everything up. You'll notice that the others don't have a space. And I had a space for all of them. It was just that for all of them, I made a mistake, and I corrected those after class was over. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how I fixed this one, but it also demonstrates to you that, while I'm talking to you and I'm doing things, that just one tiny little slip, a space where you don't need one, can make things just not work. Now, what I thought would work for me initially when I discovered the correction is that, you just double click on it and I could rename this, and I could go ahead and I could remove that space and hit the return key twice, and notice that it wouldn't go away. And for the life of me, I just thought, okay, I give up. So instead what I did is I right clicked and I said, copy all styles. And then what I did is that I went ahead and I added a new selector and I renamed it, or just renamed it. So it's td.length : before. Make sure I did not add any space. And now the name of the selector doesn't have a space. Make sure that it's named correctly. And now what I did is I right clicked on here and I said paste styles. And as soon as I paste the styles, go over to the left now and notice that length shows up. So that was why none of these were showing up over here to the left. Because I went one after the other and added new selectors for each of them to make sure that they worked over here, the before selectors, so that all of these titles would be listed over here rather than along the top. And again, it got messed up by just adding a space. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't take much to slip up. And then once that got working, then I just right clicked on here or actually didn't need to right click on here. I can go ahead and I can remove that other selector, and it worked. The other area that was easily messed up, and I thought I had added the, at the very end here, this was one of the first selectors that I needed to add for block and make sure that it's that it displays properly on a small screen. So it's under section table data and section table header. So that covers pretty much all of these, the data, the rows and the columns, as well as the header for the table. But you'll notice for this, if I just come back up here, and I have right now show set displayed, and if I come here to block where it says that was the only thing that I added for that set, if I come in here and I double click and I turn that off, come on, it's temporarily turned, there you go. This is what I was getting. So when you pull it out, it's by adding block, okay, it really condenses the spacing of all of those columns. And so make sure that that's added as well. And that was one of the first selectors that I thought I added. Now it all works. So we're all good to go. I think the only thing left in the lesson that if you guys can do on your own would be to, there was a little section on spell checking in here. My recommendation is that before you import any data into your website, that you use spell checking ahead of time. But Dreamweaver does have that. So if you're, especially if you're adding content by hand, then that would be the time that you would probably need spell checking. Okay, so we're good to go with that, unless you have any questions. I don't think there are any questions. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to switch now, and we're going to move on to Mobirise. So I'm going to make sure that I have it Mobirise import. I'm going to show you how to publish it a couple of different ways. So I'm going to switch here back to files, and I have another there we go. This is my personal website that I published and created in Mobirise. Okay. Now I'm publishing it both on what's the one that we're using today? Infinity Free. That's what I'm doing today. But for my personal use, I have it published on GoDaddy, and I pay for that. But it works just as well, and that's what I'm hoping that we'll get done today. So we have this one, okay? And so I have it opened. What I did is, and this is what all of you should be doing or should have done while you were working on your Mobirise website, is that you create a folder for it, which will be your root folder. And you'll notice that when you look in the Mobirise website here under the contents, there isn't much going on here. There's a screenshot ping, which we really don't need. There's the project Mobirise, which is the Mobirise file, which we don't need to publish. There's just two. There's a folder and our index.html. Now, if you have, I only have a single page website, so that's all I need to publish is that single page, that index.html. If I had additional pages, then I would need to publish those as well. But for a single page website, I just need the index.html, and I need the assets folder. If I twirl down on the assets folder, you can see all the content that's in here. Now, this can be published in a couple of different ways. I'm going to start by showing you how to do it in Dreamweaver. So I've opened the page in Dreamweaver, and what I needed to do, and so let me show you here. I'm going to switch to, if you guys can't see this, please let me know. Okay, this is my Infinity Free account. And you'll notice that I have two websites set up. One was for the lessons that we did, and the one down here is the one that I'm going to use for publishing this website. Okay, so you're able to add, you're able to create new accounts with Infinity Free. And so I have two of them that I have that are just that, for free. Well, what you want to do is when you're on that page is to go to Manage. And over to the right, you'll notice that we have FTP details. And at the top, we have Control Panel, File Manager, Edit Account, Deactivation History. Well, we're going to use File Manager as well as FTP details. FTP details are what we need for Dreamweaver. Now, I've already set this up, but for the FTP user, your username, you have to copy this. So you just click in here, highlight it, and hit Command-C copy, and then we're going to paste it shortly. Now, let's also show hide for the password, and this is a password that they provide for you. Again, you're going to have to copy it and paste it. And then the file, the FTP host name is just FTP upload.net. So it's these three bits of information that we need for Dreamweaver if we're going to use Dreamweaver to upload. Okay, so I'm going to move this aside, and I'm going to show you here that if I go to Dreamweaver and I go to Site and I go to Manage Sites, and here's the one that I have for Mobirise. So remember, the local site info, the folder is connected to a folder that I have on my desktop. For the advanced settings for the local info, what I have is that if you click here, okay, you'll notice that I have the image folder, and that's the one that's contained inside. Let me go back for a minute here. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go to the assets folder. Okay. Remember I said there's just there's one folder that you have to be concerned about uploading to Infinity Free. And it's the assets folder, but contained within the assets folder are all these additional folders in here. Let me move this down here. Okay. And the only one that you need to link to right now is the image folder inside Dreamweaver. So I'm going to select that and choose it. The last thing that we need to do, and this is critical, is that you need to add a server. And this is the one that I named Infinity Free. Now, when you add it and I go inside the server, this is where you put that information. You can name the server whatever you want. I named it Infinity Free. Connect using FTP. That's what you want. You don't need any of these others. You just need FTP. And remember where I said the username? I said you copy and paste. You copy and paste that. The same thing here, where the password, they gave you that password. You copy and paste the password here. And then the last thing that you do is that you test it and see if it links. And you'll see that it's connected to the web server successfully. That's what you want to see. So we're in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll click Save. And I'm saying I'm done. And now with files, just as we did before when we published lesson 7, I click here and I make sure that this is my Mobirise root folder, and I click to connect. And hopefully it connects, even though it successfully connected a moment ago. And there we go. So the next question is, where do you place your assets folder? And where do you place your index.html? It's in the htdocs right here. Because if I twirl down here, you're going to see that I already have assets and I already have an index right now that have been added. Let me see what's in here. Yeah, so I already added all of those things. I thought I had removed them. Well, let me go ahead and remove them. So, because I'm going to show you a different way of adding these. I'm going to go ahead and delete them all. And if I goof up, I goof up. You know, I mean, this is just the nature of the beast, that sometimes things don't go according to plan. So I'm going to remove the assets, and then I'm going to remove the index.html. Pay attention to what they say here. Notice where it says outside of that htdocs folder, it says do not upload files here. You don't want them there. And they give you an index2.html. You can leave that there or you can get rid of it. It really doesn't matter. And this is where we're going to place the index.html. So once these are done, you know, removing them, I just simply click and drag them on top of that htdocs folder and add it. That's one way of adding it. And now I'm going to show you, as soon as this is done deleting, I'm going to show you another way of doing this that will be directly through. There we go. Let's get rid of this one too. It's going to be directly through Mobirise or Infinity Free. Okay, so now if I go to Infinity Free and I look at that, this is in cache. So this is what I have here. So let's refresh that and see what we have here. Well, maybe I picked the wrong website. That should be, okay. So let's go back. Let's go back to Infinity Free. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to now, what I want to do is I'm going to go to File Manager. And remember, it says do not put your files here, but here's that htdocs. So what I want to do here is I want to open this folder and let's see what's in here. And nothing is in here. And this is what I want, where I want to add it. So I can click and drag and add files from here, but it gets a little tricky. So what I should do, let's go to, I'm just going to go ahead and do it from here. Notice that there's a little button in the lower left-hand corner. When I click on there, it says upload file or upload folder. Let's start with a file, which is my index.html. So where mine is located is on the desktop. And it's, let's see, I think I named it Mobirise. Mobirise 2021. So here's my index. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and open it and upload it. There we go. It's in the right location. The next one is that I'm going to take the assets folder and I'm going to go ahead and upload that. And hopefully it goes back to the same location, which it did. And I select the entire folder and I upload it now. Okay, confirm upload. And I want the whole thing. And you have to have the whole thing or it won't work. So this will take just a couple of minutes to upload everything. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that it all works. If it doesn't, and when I was testing it yesterday, I made the mistake of just dragging the whole folder inside there, because you can drag and drop, but when I dragged the folder in there, it did not upload all of the files and the folders contained within that folder, that assets folder. And so all of my website did not work, in fact. So this is a better way of doing that. So if you want to publish your Mobirise website without using Dreamweaver, this would be the way to do it. So you have a choice either way. So it's taken a couple of minutes to do this, because there are a total of 141 files to transfer. And we're at 80 right now. And so we have several more to go. Like I say, we cross our fingers, hope that everything works, and then we can check and see how it's published. And see if it published correctly. So I'm going to kick back for a moment, have a sip of my tea. And wait for the remaining, not too many more to go. And it goes relatively quickly. And there we go. So everything's here. So now what I can do is I can go back. Okay, so I'm back. Let's go back. Come on. And let's go back again. So I'm back here at, Infinity Free. And now the test is to click right here where it says domains and subdomains. Click on this link for my website to see if it all works. And there we go. It published nicely. Okay, make sure that everything works. Make sure that all of my slides work. And I'm good to go. So those are the two different ways of publishing. And it's up to you. You can try either way. And if either way fails, you just delete the files and you start again and make sure that everything is uploaded. And test it in advance in Mobirise to make sure that it works. Okay. So let me move. Hold on here. Bring that back. Let's move this to the side and let's go to Mobirise. So here we have Mobirise here. So this was another one that I started for the class. And some of you wanted to know, let's see if a few people have joined us. So let me go back to participants. And we go back here. No, the person that wanted it was having difficulty. So let me show you anyway from here, is that when you are publishing from Mobirise, when it asks you if you want to publish your website, and this is not the same one that I just published, but again, it's a single page website. One of the questions was, so that for the person that wanted to know, I will make sure that this is in the recording for them, that if I come up here and you'll notice under pages, I just have a home page. Well, if I want to add a new page to this, like I have for most of my websites, I have multiple pages. You just create a new page here. And notice what it does. It adds a brand new page. It adds the nav bar and it adds the footer. And you're able to go back in here now and we can add any amount of content that we want from our templates down here. So for example, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to place this in here just for the heck of it. Okay. So I've added something to that second page. Well, you can leave it named, or it's named page 1, but that might confuse you. The first one I named home page. So let's go ahead and rename this. I'm going to name this one extra, like, this is my extra page. Okay. So I'm going to name it extra. Okie doke. And then notice that we have, when I pop that open, we have some other options here under page settings. Now, the URL that will be used, the HTML for this is page 1. So for each additional page that you add would be page 1, page 2, page 3. And that's in addition to your index.html. Hold on here. We have a question from Jesse. Quick question. Are lessons 1 through 7 and the Mobirise website due? Just try to get them in as soon as you can. We're at the midterm point, so if you could get one of them in and then within a week get the next one in, that would be great. Does that help? Actually, everything is due by the end of the semester, but I would not leave it until the end of the semester. Because it's very easy to make mistakes and, you know, for servers to not to do what they're supposed to do and that sort of thing. Okay. So back to this. So I'm going to rename this page. So it's going to be, I'm just going to name it extra HTML. But again, when you rename it, remember you have to use the naming system that we talked about the first week of class. You should never start it with a capital letter. You should never use spaces between words. You should never use special characters, things like that. Okay. So I renamed it. You can add a page description, which is not a bad idea. You know, if you want a social, you know, sharing image, you could have that if you wish. There's all sorts of options in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. I can close that, and you can see that I'm on that page now. If I go to pages, if I want to go back and work on my home page, I just select it and close it. So that's how you work on each of the individual pages. I want to, right now, what I want to do is I want to add a link up here so that it will go to that page. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this one right here, and I'm just going to say plus. So notice that I have 2 contacts. I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to highlight it and rename it. So I'll name it extra. This is my extra page. Okay. Now, I want to be able to make sure that this link goes to that page. So now I click on that link. And remember, we have our options. I can link to site pages, or I can link to blocks on the home page. So what I want to do now is I want to link to that next page. And when I click on that little twirly here, remember, I have a page now named extra. So I can now go ahead and insert the link. And now this is linked to it. So to test that, you know, I can click off of that. Let's see if it works from here. And because it's not in preview mode, I can't. But I'm going to go ahead and click here, test it, see what it looks like in preview. And it popped up above my browser now. And now I have it in my browser. And now when I click on extra, it goes to that page. And when I click on here, it goes to the home, goes to about us. And remember, these are links that are contained on the first page. And when I click here, it goes to that other page. Now I'm ready to publish. Okay. So when you want to publish from, this is before you publish it onto Infinity Free. This is sort of a pre-publish publish. When I click here to publish this, it gives me some options. Okay. I don't want to publish it to Mobirise. I want it to publish it to FTP. Okay. Actually, but I do want to use FTP, but not just right now. I want to publish it to a local drive folder. So that's where I said you should have a folder someplace on your computer in advance where you want to publish this. So if I click browse, let's try this one now instead of the other one. So I'm going to go to my desktop and let's replace the one that I just published for you with this one, which isn't finished by any stretch of the means, but anyway, it will be show you a way of publishing this. So I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to find the Mobirise 2021 folder that I created. There we go. So here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and open it, and I'm going to publish it, and it should replace everything in there. Okay. So now again, I get a preview of what it's going to look like. Here's my home page. Here's About Us. Here's my extra page. This is what it should look like. It's a preview, but it isn't published to Infinity Free. So now I want to replace that other website that I just published for you with this one. So let's go ahead this time and let's use Dreamweaver to do that. So I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver. And it says, notice it says, this file has been modified outside of Dreamweaver. Do you want to reload it? Yes, I do. Okay. And notice how it's dramatically changed. It's the one that I just used now. And now you'll also notice that instead of just having an index.html, I have that extra.html as well. So what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take, let's turn this off and let's reconnect to the server to see what's there. Okay, so here we have the assets folder that I'm going to delete again in the index.html because these are from that other website that I just uploaded. So I'm going to delete the index. I'm going to delete the assets page, which may take, again, a couple of minutes to do. But this time I'm going to upload it through Dreamweaver. And you'll see this one instead when we see it published on Infinity Free. So there's a lot of there are a lot of files in Mobirise that you don't use, but it's hard to tell sometimes which ones you've used and which ones you haven't, because it's all, you don't have to worry about the coding. If you feel really comfortable with coding, you can go back in and in Dreamweaver and you can edit all of it. But you run a huge risk of really messing it up if you're not comfortable with it. I have made a few minor changes, but nothing major because it's too complicated, too intertwined. It's like opening up, you know, I don't know how many of you have looked under the hood of an old Volkswagen. It's really bare bones and very easy to tinker with and to service on, you know, yourself, change oil, look at all sorts of stuff. There's nothing there. But then if you look at one of the newer, a new car, and you lift, you know, the hood, it's just packed and it's hard to find anything. And that's exactly what these websites look like. So, you know, you need somebody with a lot of expertise, somebody who's probably worked for Mobirise that knows how all the ins and outs. So now we're back to bare bones minimum again. So everything has been deleted. And now I can take inside that htdocs and I'm going to drag both the index, the extra HTML, and the assets folder on top of that folder. Okay, so I have index. Now let's also take the extra. So depending on how many pages that you've added to your website, and you can always add, you can always subtract. And now I'm going to take the assets folder and drag it on top of the htdocs folder. And again, this is going to take a few minutes to upload. But you don't put it inside of the other, but you take the whole folder and you put it on top, drag it on top of the htdocs folder. If you would just put, I mean, there is a push and get buttons over here, but if you're not careful, they will go into the wrong folder. You're going to, where it says do not upload files here, there's a good chance that that's where those files will be uploaded. So I prefer dragging them over to the area that where I want them to go. So we still have quite a few files left, about halfway done. Not quite. Any more questions from any of you? While I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that I take roll here. Jennifer Espinoza, I already got Michael Gonzalez, I got Jasmine Perez, Michael Gonzalez, Stephanie Hernandez, and Houston. Okay. So everybody that's here is here. Okie doke. Almost done. Just have a few more files. 20 left. Not even that now. 10. And we'll be done. No? Oh, no, 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 no. Okay. We got many, many more files. So we're not done yet. And this is when you pray that your computer does not act up and pray that you don't lose internet connection. So now everything is working. So now I can come back over here and let's go back to, let's bring that back up. Okay, let's find, I'm going to close this, and let's go to, I got to find it. Where did I put it? Well, oh, here it is. Here's my infinity free. There we go. So let's go ahead and again, let's take the same one. Let's go ahead and, now this is the one that I had before. So now let's try to refresh and see if it does refresh. And there it is. By clicking the refresh, you can see that I have the new one. Now that's my welcome. My background image isn't publishing correctly. Let's go to the extra page. And that's loading okay. Actually, you know what? Some of it is not. And that happens sometimes when you upload from Dreamweaver. I've had that happen before. So maybe that's not such a good idea for you guys right now. Especially if you're using the current version. Yeah. So see how it's not viewing correctly? So my recommendation to you then, this is a good time to test, that for some reason, when I uploaded it from Dreamweaver, it's not uploading correctly. And I've had problems with this with my own website as well. So it might be better for you just to go back to Infinity Free and go to File Manager and upload it from here. Okay. Okay, let's try to connect again. Okay, so now I got to go back. See, I'm having problems myself. So let's go back to Infinity Free. Let's go to Okay, let's go back here. Let's click to manage. And then from here, let's go to File Manager. And hopefully it connects correctly. There we go. Let's look in htdocs. Let's go ahead and open it. Okay. And let's see what we have. Here's my extra page. Yeah, but it's not, everything is here, but it's not reading it correctly. So it did before. So my recommendation is to upload it from here. Don't use Dreamweaver to upload your Mobirise folder. This would be a better way. And if you have issues with it, let me know and we'll have to work it out. As I said, I've had issues myself with my own website. You know, if I go ahead here, but it is working now. And this was with GoDaddy. But now if I go to my gallery 934, come on, there we go. You know, this is finally working okay. It was when I upgraded from an older version of Mobirise to the new version that it wasn't uploading through Dreamweaver properly. So, you know, I had to, you know, be patient and tweak it and keep, you know, be persistent and play with it until it worked. Okay. But everything now is working just fine on mine. So if there aren't any questions, we're about done for today. Is there anything else that you guys want to know about when projects are due? I thought I had published earlier that lessons 1 through 7 needed to be published. And, you know, that was a while ago. I may not have saved those changes. And I know that I put them inside my weekly syllabus, but may not have put it correctly in Canvas, but it's not the end of the world. Jesse, you have a question? How many pages does it just needs to be one like this, but you need to have 4 sections. You need to make sure that you have, yeah, the question is, how many pages does the Mobirise website need to have? You could have 4, or it could be condensed into 1 page like I have here, but you have 4 sections. Similar to what we had done with your Wix website. Make sure that you have a nav bar. Make sure that you have a splash section. This would be equivalent to my splash page, where it goes to About Us, a little section about you. So this has, in my case, it has my artistic statement. It has my biography and how Kmart came to be. So you're going to need an About section for yourself. If you can also put, it would be nice if you could also have a resume page, but I'm not going to require that. I used to, but I'm not going to do that now. And then you need a portfolio. Notice how this goes to another section. And then you need a contact, and that goes to that page. So these could be 4 separate pages. If I go back to Kirk Miller Art, it's the same thing. You'll notice that I have my home page. I have much more, but it's broken down into those sections. I have an About section. This goes to a separate page though, because this is a more complete version of what I'm doing in Mobirise. And then I have a resume page, and these are separate pages. But, you know, if you can condense it into 1 page, then that's great. And then I have 2 pages for artwork. And I have Kmart, and then I have a separate page. These are all separate pages. You have a contact page. So depending on how much content you have will determine the size of your website. However, having said that, I can have the same number of sections, but with less content and condensed into a single page. But I do want you then, and this is for the user experience, rather than, you know, forcing them to have to scroll up and down, they should be able to just click on the different sections and it should take them to where they need to go. So that would be an ideal solution. Okay, any more questions? Let's see, you've tried contacting you through email, but you don't think you've received your emails. Okay, then Jesse, try. What email are you using? I mean, I every day check all of them. There's Kirk, well, the one that you should be using is kirkmillerart@gmail.com, but I also check my kmiller@Cerritos regularly. And I also have a third one that I would rather not, you guys not use. So it's kirkmillerart@gmail.com. And you can also contact me through Cerritos, which is kmiller@cerritos.edu. Okie doke. Which email are you trying to send it to? Jesse? Yeah, I got both of them. Yep. So Jesse, you've been touching base with me every week? Yeah, okay. Yes, if I don't get back to you, I am putting you in the role. So I appreciate, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But yeah, you've been touching base with me each week, and I appreciate that. And I've been noting it and adding you to the role. Okay, so your presence is duly noted, but just make sure that you get all of your projects in. I don't know that I have projects for any of you, for you. There we go. Yeah, no, I've been getting your emails, yes. Okie doke. Any other questions before we end today's webinar? So is it clear with Mobirise? Don't publish it through Dreamweaver. I think you may have issues. And why, I don't know. Just publish it directly through Infinity Free. And you'll be better off doing it that way. Just make sure that it all works. Okay, so are we done for today or no? Everybody's clear on publishing. When you publish your lesson 7, use Dreamweaver to publish it. And I think you'll have better success. I guess, but you don't have to. You can go directly through Infinity Free and just upload the files through there. It really doesn't matter. It's a quirky thing with Mobirise that some of the things work and some of the things don't when you use Dreamweaver. And again, I don't have an explanation for it. Something gets messed up in the process. I just don't, I don't have an explanation. So, and with me, it's the same thing when I'm publishing my own websites or for my, family clients, whatever. When I'm trying new things, again, a lot of times it's just trial and error until you keep trying different things until they work. But, you know, hopefully I've laid this out for you in somewhat clear fashion so that it works for you. So you don't have too many issues. If you do, let me know. Publish what you can, and if you can't, then we'll discuss it again next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'm going to move on to lesson 10. But if we have to focus on publishing and making sure that all of this works, then I can pause it for a while and we can come back to this. Okay. It's fine by me. You should be able to have at least two free websites with Infinity free, at least. As if I were to go back to the other one. Let's see if I go back. Let's pick this one. Let's manage this one, Art 196. Let's see what I have here. Yeah, this is the one that I use for the lessons. This is the last lesson that I published, which was lesson 7. And pretty soon you guys will be publishing lesson 11 or 12. So after you publish it, make sure that you take the link up here, the URL, put it in the email and send it to me. And in the subject, put your name, Art 196, and put lesson 1 through 7 in the subject. And then in the content, you should only have this link. So all I have to do is click on the link and it should take me to your website and I should see that it was successfully published. And that ought to do it. Okay. See, this is all goofed up. Oh, well. Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to say goodbye and you guys are all free to leave. Okay. Bye-bye. See you Tuesday. Good luck publishing everything.